Hello, my name is Avery Franklin, and this is my Christian Morality Summer Advancement 2025 online final. And my initial perspective on morality. So before coming into this class, I didn't really know what morality was. I thought of it as, what's right versus what's wrong and, following the rules and things like that. I didn't think there was many factors besides that. But as I learned the contents that I'll be discussing on these slides, you will see at the end how my perspective on morality shifted. So the first thing I'll be talking about is Catholic social teachings. And Catholic social teachings are the church's moral guidance that, tell us to respect human dignity. There's 7 of them: respect human dignity, protect the vulnerable, promoting the common good, and things like that. But I think the Catholic social teaching that most resonates with my moral code is life and dignity of the human person. And I really like this one because, one, it connects with a topic I will discuss later, which is community responsibility and the common good. And it's about respecting and caring for others in the community, which I really agree with. Next is the 10 Commandments. So there's 3 sections in the 10 Commandments: family, God, and society. There's 3 commandments about family, and these tell us, how to treat our families. Like a specific one is honor your father and mother. And then there's 3 commandments about God that tell us, how to worship God. Like, you shall worship no other God besides me. And, don't say God's name in vain. And then there's 4 commandments about society, and these are rules we should follow in society, like you shall not kill. And then after seeing these, I made 10 modern commandments that are relevant to today's society. So I made some about family, which are you shall stay faithful to your significant other, because there's a lot of cheating in today's society. And then I made, instead of God, I did nature, because nature is very relevant in today's society, and you shall treat the environment with respect is one of them. And then I also did some about society, which is you shall be responsible with technology, since technology is so prominent in today's society. And then one thing, I connected the shift from the biblical 10 Commandments to my modern 10 Commandments, and I thought that connected with the shift between how I thought of morality before the class and after the class. And I connected this because before I learned about the 10 Commandments, I didn't really know much. I didn't know how to make my modern commandments, but as I learned them, I was able to make modern commandments and learn what they meant to me, which is similar to my view on morality. Okay, next I'll be discussing the 6 elements of a moral decision. So the first element is the moral agent, and this is the person who's making the moral decision. Next is the moral action, and this is the action being taken or not taken. Another one is context, which are the things, happening during the time before or during the time of the moral decision. And these are things like environment, what's going on politically, someone's age, and stuff like that. The next is motive, and this is the intent or to do or not to do the action. The next element is affected, this is the people who are most impacted by the moral decision's outcome. And lastly, the last element is consequence, and this is the outcome of the moral decision, and it can be either good or bad. And then on the slideshow, there's an image, and it shows how I look at a moral decision now. Before, I would just kind of wing it and hope for the best. But after learning about the 6 moral decisions and the image, it really made me change in how I look at and deal with a moral decision. Instead of just winging it, I'll evaluate the situation, I'll look at the context, and I'll really come to a good decision. I'll try to come to my best decision after reflecting on it, rather than just, saying yes or no. Okay, the next topic I'll be talking about is sin. And specifically, there's two types of sin, mortal and venial. And mortal sin is sin that can lead to damnation. And this is like murder. It's like the really bad sins that are, cursing you to hell, basically, as the Catholic teaching says. Venial sins are sins that do not do that. This is like sins, but less extreme, like, lying. And then in my moral code, sin is the opposite of deep grace. Sin is like a selfish deed that breaks the relationship with God. And I strive not to sin because deep grace is very important for me to grow my relationship with God. And the Catholic Church's view on sin is similar to mine because they say it's an action that damages the relationship between the individual performing the sin and God. And I agree with their sin because I think if you sin, you will not be able to have deep grace, like mentioned in the Pear Deck video on sin. And that really resonated with me in my moral code. The next slide is about free will. And free will is the capability to do an action. It's basically the ability to choose between two choices on your own. And then in my moral code, I believe humans have limited but meaningful free will. And I think free will should not be exploited to commit negative bad acts. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it if it means committing a bad act. And I think it should be a tool used to, express love. In one connection, I connected free will with the 6 elements of a moral decision. Because as humans, we can choose to make whatever moral decision we want with free will. But if you really process those decisions, you can make a better choice that will have a better outcome, hopefully. The Catholic view on free will is that they believe humans do have free will. And not everyone does, but I do agree with this view because I think everyone has the ability to possess free will, and everyone should be able to use free will to make good decisions. Next slide is personal values and goals. So goal is basically only focusing on the destination and disregarding the journey. A value is caring about the destination, but appreciating the journey along the way. And there's an image in the slideshow that shows a goal is only reaching for the top of the stairs and only reaching for the flag at the end, but a value is taking notes on the journey on the way up the stairs. Okay, virtue and virtue ethics. So there's 4 meta-ethical theories. Ethical relativism, which is you can't hold norms in one culture to another. Ethical objectivism, independent of people's beliefs, so it's basically facts. Ethical subjectivism, personal preference, it's like what you want. And pragmatism, it's what if it works, it works. And then ethical relativism connects to the idea of the Catholic social teaching of life and dignity of the human person. This is because you need to treat them with dignity no matter what. Like, even if you don't think what they're doing in their culture is, even if you don't agree with what they do in their culture, you still need to treat them with dignity. And then the church does not believe in the theory of ethical relativism. But I do not agree with them because I don't think you should judge a person based on their culture. And I think you should judge them based on who they are personally, not their culture. Okay, community responsibility and the common good. The discussion board with everyone's word cloud showed me what matters to everyone in the community. The Really Kenny Padlet helped me understand responsibility, as people said if they were Kenny, they would have handled it more responsible. And then the Money Mattress discussion board showed me how people would have returned, most people were saying they would have returned the money, which shows that they care for the common good. They care for the people, even though they didn't have to. And then I connected the Money Mattress video to the 6 elements of a moral decision because he had to decide. It was a big moral decision whether he wanted to give the money back or not, but he still decided to do it. And then the really Kenny Padlet video connects to the modern Ten Commandments, as everyone is sharing what they would done, similar to how everyone was sharing how their modern Ten Commandments. Everyone's interpretations was different, but they were all meaningful and for community responsibility and the common good. Next is conscious formation. So conscious to me is an inner voice to guide one's behavior. There's 4 steps to forming a conscious. Pray, which is, asking God for, to make moral decisions. Study, which you're studying the church and what they, what their things. And consult, which is seek advice from trusted people. And examine, which is reflect on past actions. And then there's an image in the slideshow. And I was really able to grow my conscious looking at, or, using pray, study, consult, examine, because I'm able to make better, more conscious decisions after I did all those, rather than, just listening to my voice and not praying, studying, consult, and examining. And lastly, based on all those, all that I've learned from this course, this is my perspective on morality. And I think it's now just about more than following rules or, deciding what's right, what's wrong. It's about practicing virtue, using reason, making ethical choices. And it's a lifelong journey rooted in truth, justice, and the dignity of others. And that is my ethical code guide. Thank you so much.